Welcome to On the Same Page, a second generation series of experiences with nationally recognized and award winning authors, artists, and creators, brought to you by KET Education and the KET Young Writers Contest. We're glad you've joined us to learn from and collaborate with industry professionals from across the nation as well as from right here in the Commonwealth. Grab pencils, some paper, and your creativity, and let's get on the same page with today's guest creator.
I used to love running around and causing trouble. So if you had seen me when I was a kid, you probably would have said, that Bruce, he's going to prison. No, I have not been to prison yet. And I think that's because of the power of books and stories. My life would have gone on for a long time without even getting engaged with books, except for a very sad thing that happened in our family. We lost somebody very close to us. Our TV. The TV died. And my parents said they didn't have enough money to buy a new one. So they started to read to me. And at first I was a little skeptical. I'm like, yeah, books, right. Okay, how exciting. But when they started sharing Tarzan of the Apes with me, for some reason, that story really clicked. And I just fell in love with reading. And once they explained the concept of being an author, I said, wow, that's pretty cool. So you mean I could actually make up stories myself? Oh, all right, this is cool. So I set to work on my first book, which I'm going to share with you right now. This is a story called The Two Brothers at Monster Town. Now, I worked for a long time on this book, writing and drawing, and I finally taped it together and went to my mom and said, look, Mom, it's a book. And just like most good moms, she said, oh, that's lovely, dear. And then when she opened it up, she said, what an interesting book. Is this a Chinese book? Let's check it out. Is this book opening forwards or backwards? Backwards, right? And there's no words in here. There's not even the author's name. So this is where I started out. So I just want to encourage you guys. I know you're early in your writing careers, but we all start in this place. We all start by making mistakes, trying to figure things out, and learning from what we do. So I bet you're already well beyond this stage of writing. I mean, I couldn't even get my plurals here. It says the two brother at Monster Town. So I'm sure you guys are well beyond that. All right, so today what I'd like to do is share a little tip with you. I love both drawing and writing. Usually when I'm coming to create a story, I do the writing first. And then once I've got some text to work with, if I'm going to illustrate it, then I'll just look through the text and see what kind of images I want to choose to illustrate the book. So I think it'd be kind of fun to steal a little knowledge from Hollywood. And I'm going to share with you a tip I learned from watching movies over and over and over. And I figured out that they use a certain visual language, and we can use that too in books, in graphic novels, whatever kind of story you're trying to illustrate. So before I jump into that, though, I do need to change hats because it's important to be in the right character. Let's see. I have to get my drawing hat on here. There we go. Oh, now I feel like a true artist. Oh, that's much better. All right. So in the visual language of Hollywood, you have three primary shots. You've got the wide shot where you see a whole bunch, and I'm going to illustrate this in just a bit. Then you get the medium shot where you're a little closer, and then you get the close up where you got the face filling the screen. Now, a lot of us, when we start out drawing, we don't take advantage of that. We don't usually have a drawing where there's just only a face, but it has a lot of impact. So if you're telling a story or if you're doing a graphic novel and you really want to make a point, you zoom in on the close-up. If you are trying to show scenery and a lot of action going on, then you pull back. So that's how we start to manage it. We want to have variety because variety is the spice of life. Not the Spice Girls. Your teachers will get that one, but the spice of life. All right. So let me switch over to my drawing camera and show you what we're talking about. All right. So here we go. We're going to start with a wide shot. Now, I'm just going to pick a story at random. I think maybe Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So if you are writing the story, you've got, okay, so Goldilocks was walking through the forest and, okay, walking through the forest and she came across a cottage. All right, and it would help if I could spell, it's early in the morning. All right, dot, dot, dot. So now, with something like Goldilocks walking through the forest, do you think that's a really emotional, impactful kind of thing? Probably not, no. It's probably something where you want more of a medium shot or a wide shot. So let's do Goldilocks walking through the forest. Like this, and here we go. Here's a little path going here, and here's Goldilocks in her little ruby dress. I'm going to be like real stick figurey about this, just to keep it simple. And there she is in her long curly Goldilocks, like that, and she's going, having a great time walking through the forest. All right, so this is a wide shot right here, and you've got trees in the background. And of course, you can do your own version of this, or you're also welcome, if you have a story you're illustrating, to just pick a moment from your story and illustrate that. So, you know, we've got this stuff going on here. Here's her forest, la, la, la. All right, so that's a wide shot. Now, we don't want to tell the whole story with just a wide shot. It gets kind of boring. You know, you don't want every frame to look the same. Remember, variety is the spice. So then Goldilocks came to a cottage and she was very impressed with the cottage. So we could do a close-up at that point. So here's Goldilocks sees the cottage. Now, of course, if you're doing a graphic novel, you've got captions and all that sort of thing, but I'm just doing it really rough and dirty here. All right, so Goldilocks sees the cottage and she's probably pretty happy with that. So we're going to do a nice little close up here. There's her curly hair. And there we go, nice big close up. So you see how I'm filling the frame with that image. There she is, there's her big eyes. Like that, and she's going, oh, this is so cool. I love this cottage. Like that. All right, so we filled the frame with that. There's a close-up. We started with kind of a wide shot. And then you know how the story goes. She goes in there, she's trying the different beds. You know, you could do, if you do a graphic novel, you can do really fun little techniques with your frames too. You can do things like this, where you've got 3 frames together like this, and maybe medium shot of 3 different beds. So first bed is too hard, and she's like, it's so hard, she's bouncing right up off of it. Here's her body going like that. Oh, holy moly, what's going on? All right, this is really, really rough. The perfectionist in me wants to stop and fix this, but that's okay. We just want to give a rough idea. So that's too hard. Next bed is going to be too soft, and so we're going to show her like sinking into the bed. And she's kind of scared there, like drowning in the bed. Right. And then the next bed is just right. So you have a little contrast in this kind of thing. So in this bed,
We've got Goldilocks here with her curly hair. And she got a big smile because it's perfect. All right, so we can have, you know, if I took the time, I could probably do 3 identical beds and each with a different reaction to it. And then, you know, the whole story goes. She keeps doing this kind of stuff, and we can vary sort of medium shots and wide shots with her reactions. And then Goldilocks hears the door open. Now, do you think at this point Goldilocks is going to be in a wide shot or maybe a close-up? I'm thinking maybe a close-up. She hears the door, and so then we go to a nice, remember to just kind of fill the frame when you're doing a close-up, fill the whole frame with the face. So here's her curly hair coming out like that. There's this, and she's not smiling in this one. She's going, oh, oh. That. Okay. Very good. Okay, so she knows she's been busted. Right. And then when you get the 3 bears coming in, think about that. Would you do a close-up? You could do a close-up of one of the bears reacting to the mess. You could do maybe a medium shot of the 3 bears together, or you could even do a wide shot showing the entire cottage. But I think I'm going to go with a medium shot here. So, and this is going to be the bears react. Right, so you got big old Papa Bear in the middle, really large here. That. So the bears react. Here's Mama Bear. And then Baby Bear way down here. So again, we're looking for visual variety. We want each image to be a little bit different unless we're really making a point and trying to have them all similar, like with the beds. All right, so here you got the bears reacting. And of course, since we're doing cartoons, you can always do these kind of little marks that indicate emotion, like they're all worried. All right, and we keep going through the story, and you know, it's been so long since I've heard this story. I can't remember how it ends. Did they end up eating her at the end? Is that it? Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, no, that I think she probably runs off or something like that. So at the very end, after they go through their trials and tribulations, we'll say Goldilocks. And of course, if we're writing a fractured fairy tale, anything could happen. We could have Goldilocks has to become a servant to them for a certain period to work off all the damage she did. You could have them eating her. You could have her running away. I mean, fractured fairy tales are great because you get to make them up as you feel they should be. But in this case, we'll say Goldilocks runs away. So in this case, I'm going to do kind of a wide shot with her in the front with her curly hair and terrified. And she's running off like this. And in the background, you got the little path leading up and the, you know, the bear's cottage like that. So you can see the whole cottage. And the bears standing outside with their arms crossed, looking tough. These are some of the goofiest looking bears I've ever drawn. All right, but you get the idea. So the main thing we're trying to look for here is to keep visual variety going. Each frame should be different from the next. And that is how we create a visually interesting story to tell. And here's Baby Bear waving goodbye, like, ah, see you later, come again. All right. There you go. So that's the essence of telling a story through 3 different kinds of images. And I hope the next time you're illustrating something that you remember this and kind of fold that into your thinking about how to tell a story. Because just like when we write a story, we want there to be exciting bits and quiet bits. Visually, you need to do the same thing. That variety is what keeps the reader reading. All right. So that's it for my little mini lesson for the day. I want to open it up to questions to see if any of you guys have questions for me, or if there's anything in what we've done that you want further explained. I'm happy to do that as well.
Well, Bruce, before we open it up to everybody, because I think teachers, I think if you want to have students come up to the microphone, that's absolutely okay. I do want to let you know that we do have some questions from Murray Middle. Adeline and Lillian have some questions about your hat collection. Now, they know you have lots of hats, but they have to know which is your favorite hat. And of course, why is that the favorite?
Oh boy, it's a hard question. It's just as hard as asking which is my favorite book that I've written. You know, I've done over 70 books, so it's like, okay, well, I like that one, I like that one, I like that one. I like different hats for different things. This is one of my favorites. I wear this one a lot because it goes with a lot of different clothes that I have, and I just like that color brown. One of my other favorites is a black beret. And if I were traveling back to the east right now and you're snow and you're cold, I'd definitely be wearing that because it's nice and warm. And then probably my other favorite is this little very soft fez I have and I wear around the house because, as you can see, I don't have a lot of hair, so I have to keep my head warm. Okay, I see a couple questions in the comments here. Let's see. How long have I been an author? From Otto. I have been an author since dinosaurs walked the earth. Way back in 1989 is when I published my first book, The Legend of the Laughing Gecko. So yeah, it's been quite a while. How many books have I written? Well, I kind of answered that. It's over 70. I think I'm up to 72 now. And I've written everything from picture books to easy readers to novels to graphic novels. Tayan asked, is making Clark the Shark books fun? Absolutely. I love writing Clark because he's such an enthusiastic and kind of crazy character. So it's really fun to go big with him. Let's see. Evan says, where did you get your artist hat? That one I actually got from my wife. Somebody gave it to her as a present, and she's like, yeah, this isn't really my style, but I really enjoyed it. So I love that hat. How many hats do I have? Oh, wow. If I had to guess, I'd say somewhere around 25 or 30, including baseball caps, fezzes, fedoras, all that stuff. I got a lot of hats. What inspired me to be an author? Okay, well, I covered that a little bit when I started first talking. Really what inspired me was the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan books. And that just lit up my imagination. I had never heard stories like that before. And I said, gosh, you know, this story stuff is kind of fun. I wonder if I could do my own. So that reading Edgar Rice Burroughs and the other authors I read when I was young inspired me to want to write my own stories. Was I really raised by wolves? I wish I was. It would have been so fun. Like no bedtime, no having to brush your teeth, you know, just run wild. But sadly, no, I was raised by 2 humans just outside of LA. Let's see, what else? What was your favorite book when I was a kid? Kelsey asks. Let's see. After I got over Tarzan, that was my favorite for a while.
I read a bunch of great books. I actually started reading children's literature. I don't know if you know this, but Tarzan was actually adult pulp fiction. It was published in magazines and stuff. But once I started reading children's books, I loved Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Wrinkle in Time, James and the Giant Peach, The Hobbit. I mean, those are some of the ones that I read over and over. Let's see. Have I ever combined two fairy tale stories into one book? No, I have not. That would be a fun thing to do, kind of a mashup. I have done a few fractured fairy tale stories. Probably my favorite that I've done was a picture book called Snoring Beauty. She's like Sleeping Beauty, but she snores. Let's see, what else have we got here? Oh, okay. What inspired Clark the Shark? Clark the Shark was a little different from most of the books I've done. Usually I come up with the idea, I write the story, and then my agent works on finding a publisher for it. But in this case, the publisher came to me and they said, we came up with this. We know you like to do animal stories. We came up with this story about a really cute animal. We'd love for you to write it. And I said, great, cute. I love cute animals. What do we got? A bunny, a puppy dog? And they're like, no, it's a great white shark. So yeah, cute, I don't know. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. So they came up with the character and I wrote the stories. Let's see, Adeline and Lillian said, I love to act. So based on that, what is your favorite play you've done? Boy, let's see. Probably I've got about three favorites because I did a lot of different theater when I was an actor. So in children's theater, I did a musical version of Green Eggs and Ham, which was really fun and wild. And we had these giant sets and climbing all over them and singing my head off. And then the two adult plays that I enjoyed the most were one called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, which takes place in ancient Rome, and Cabaret. So those were my favorites. Let's see. Okay, we've got a giveaway happening at the end of the session. Oh, that's nice. All right. What is your favorite Ninja Turtle? I would say Michelangelo. Did I write and illustrate all of my books? No, I did not. A lot of the picture books like Clark the Shark and Big Bad Baby, somebody else illustrated. I tend to like to do black and white illustrations more than color. So I've illustrated all my Chet Gecko books, the Monster Town Mysteries, the Class Pets series, and a bunch of others. So probably about half of my books I've illustrated. Let's see. What is my favorite book? Wow, that's impossible. I don't even know if I could say what's my favorite book that I've read, much less that I've written. But I'll give you my top 4 or 5 of the books that I've written. I'd say in the picture books, it's probably Big Bad Baby, Clark the Shark, and Snoring Beauty. And in the novels, it's probably Switch. In fact, let me show that to you here. This is one of my newest ones about a boy and a dog whose souls switch places. And let's see, probably the Chet Gecko book called The Malted Falcon. And then the last one I'd say is a book called Playing with Fire. It's a spy book. Okay, let's see. Somebody's excited about Lord of the Rings. I love that. When I was a DJ, what was my favorite song? Well, I was a DJ way back in the 80s. So we were playing stuff that you guys probably don't listen to anymore. But I think the ones that I got the most requests for were like Earth, Wind, and Fire songs like Boogie Wonderland. This was like a little bit after the disco era. So people were wanting to shake their stuff. What is my favorite food? Oh, that's hard. Well, I'd say if we're talking desserts, that's easy. Chocolate chip cookies. That's the king of desserts, the top of the pyramid. As far as other foods, I love Mexican food, Thai food, Japanese food. I'm crazy about sushi. I love tamales. I love the different Thai soups. So hard to pick. What's my favorite type of book to write? That's interesting. I don't know that I have a favorite. What I like is variety. I like going back and forth between different types of writing. So sometimes I'll write a picture book if I'm in the mood for something short and visual. Sometimes I'll write a novel if I really want to stretch out and explore the characters. It really varies. It just depends on the day and the mood. How long does it take to write an illustrated book? Let's see, the Chet Gecko novels, they usually take me about 8 months, maybe, all told. That's including writing, illustrating, and going through the editing process with my editor, a lot of back and forth. What is my favorite book series that I've written? I'd say probably the Chet Gecko Mysteries or Clark the Shark. Those two are pretty close. Which author do I like to collaborate with the most? Well, I haven't really collaborated with other authors. I would like to try that though sometime. I think that'd be fun to write a novel with chapters that alternate, maybe from two different characters' points of view. I'd like to try that. Do I meet and talk with other authors? Yeah, I do. Back before the pandemic, I used to go regularly to writers' conferences and get to hang out with other authors whose work I enjoy. And that was always really fun. And I do have some author friends here in Santa Barbara, and we get together and have lunch and chat. Okay, how long does one book take to complete? We covered that. Have met an author that I was thrilled to win? I'm not sure what that. Oh, maybe thrilled to meet. Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite books when I was a kid was The Phantom Toll Booth, which I thought was just a brilliant book, really fun. And I got to meet Norton Juster, the author of that, at a conference, and that was pretty cool. And I also got to meet Christopher Paul Curtis, who is one of my favorite authors for children. He wrote Bud Not Buddy and The Watsons Go to Birmingham, a lot of great books. Okay, let's see, what else? Do I write adult and children's books? So far, I have not written an adult book yet. I've written articles and short stories, but not an entire long book. I haven't had the right idea for it, but I would totally do it if I had the right idea.
I think we're running out of time.
I'm
But
sorry?
Bruce, we're running out of time, but I do want to end on this question. I
Sure.
want to end on what is the best advice that you can give these young writers?
All right. The best advice I can give you is really, really simple advice. Read, and write. Being an author is something that you can't really get through a class. You have to absorb how to tell a story by reading other good storytellers and then practice your own storytelling until you get good at it. It took me 8.5 years to write a story good enough that somebody would publish it. And I got rejected over and over and over. So hang in there, keep practicing your craft. And if you love to write, then follow that passion.
That is some really great advice, having that grit and that resilience to keep going and knowing that edit process is going to be a back and forth and you're going to have to redo and keep looking at and changing as you go through. That's really great advice, just to stick with it, keep reading, keep writing. That is
Absolutely.
wonderful. Bruce, thank you for coming along on this journey with us. Thank you for being a part of today. Students and
welcome.
teachers and families, thank you for being here. I do want to say one more big thank you. Thank you, Bruce. This was wonderful.
You're very welcome. And aloha.